Regina Asuncion. And she is, let me see, I don't have my glasses on here, but I know that she's a visionary. She's a CEO and founder. You guys have this in your program, so I'm not going to read all of this to the letter. But let's see, she leverages the virtual assistants. I like that. I have a virtual assistant, Regina, wherever you are. I use a virtual assistant. I think I told you that. I met you already. Y'all give it up for Regina Asuncion.
Hi guys, how's it going? Good morning. Thanks you guys for being here. So again, my name is Regina. I am the CEO and founder of Ascension Business Solutions. So I want to start off by giving you guys a little bit of background of why I started this company. So back in 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic, I helped start the third home health agency back in Denver, Colorado. That's where I'm from. It was crazy, y'all. People were disappearing, things were getting shut down, the dark days. You guys remember the dark days? And a lot like you, I traded my 40-hour week for constant, never-ending work. I wore every hat, I solved every problem, and I kept telling myself, if I don't do it, who will? You know how that goes, right? So for 16 straight months, I went on like that. My health took a hit. I was losing hair, I was gaining weight. My relationships were falling apart, and I just didn't know if I know what joy felt like anymore. Then one day, my husband had enough. He stepped in and said, I'm taking you away from all of this. And so he took me to Dollywood. Anyone from Tennessee in here? All right, so we went to Dollywood, and for the first time in over a year, I tried to unplug, but I couldn't. I hired someone 3 weeks before I left to do scheduling. I trained that girl for 3 weeks, and I get to Dollywood, but things weren't going smoothly. My phone kept buzzing, nonstop questions. My hire didn't respect my time off, and she didn't respect my boundaries. She caused more problems than she solved. You guys feel that? Then that same day, the first day off of for 16 months, she calls me and she goes, Regina, I'm gonna go to lunch, and she never came back. So this is me at Dollywood, passed out because I cried. I was so frustrated because I found myself scrambling again, trying to work from my phone in hot Tennessee, and my kids were yelling at me to please put my phone down. So I found a bench, cried, passed out. Do you guys ever feel that way? That you're trading your time with your family because you gotta fill this shift? Because if you don't fill this shift, that means someone else's family is not gonna get dinner tonight. Just today, I saw so many owners walk out the door to pick up a phone. Even worse, I see sometimes people go to these conferences that they pay hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars to be here, but they cannot unplug. And even worse, they're on their laptop working the whole time. So that moment at Dollywood wasn't just my breaking point, it was my turning point. I realized that delegation wasn't something that I failed at, but it was something that I had to learn. It's not just about handing off tasks. It's about finding the right people and trusting them to carry the load. Since then, I've worked out how to delegate in a way that actually works. I learned to hire people that shared my vision, how to set clear expectations, and this is key, you guys, how to protect my time and my boundaries. Most importantly, I realized something big. Delegation isn't about losing control. It's about making space for what truly matters. And that's exactly what we're gonna talk about today. So this story isn't just a personal journey. This is a universal lesson on leadership and growth. Is that not why we're here? As we gather here today, I want to remind you guys that the path to success doesn't have to be a lonely one. How many of us feel that way, that we're isolated because we don't have anybody to talk to about business, that no one else understands what we're going through? It does require to build strong teams, cultivate trust, but this is important, how to empower others to share in our vision. Today we're here to explore the art of delegation, develop strategies that align with our values and create the space needed to focus on strategic priorities. If you guys want to transform the challenges that you guys are having right now, into opportunities for growth and innovation, That's why you're in this room, right? If you want to take back your time and build a company that you don't grow to hate, then this mastermind is for you guys. So let's get at it. A lot of what I'm going to tell you guys comes from three main sources. Reading a ton of business books. I have my MBA. Getting into rooms like this, into rooms with people like Maddie and learning from them, and the 18 years of hands-on experience I have of starting, growing, and scaling healthcare companies. So after I cried on a bench in Tennessee, I knew something had to change. So I took it upon myself and put everything I learned into building Ascension Business Solutions. It's a virtual assistant firm. You hear Maddie talking about VAs and virtual assistants a lot, you guys, right? And I've spent the last 3 years perfecting how can I serve home care owners, home health owners, healthcare business owners, and teams like you guys. So from 2020 to 2023, my company grew 627%. That wasn't beginner's luck, because last year, from 2023 to 2024, we grew another 447%. By focusing on delegation, building a strong team, and being process-oriented, we scaled our company from just having a few VAs to providing life-changing opportunities to over 150 well-deserving virtual assistants. Today, I'm proud to say that we serve over 75 home care healthcare agencies from Hawaii to New York, and by keeping you guys at the center of everything that we do, we've earned the approved and trusted vendor for some of the biggest home care franchises in America. I am not sharing this to impress you guys, but to impress upon you the power of delegation. It is the single most important skill that's allowed me to achieve this level of success while also helping entrepreneurs like you guys do the same. So if you're not convinced yet, let's bring in the big guns. So I'm a big believer in learning is earning. And I think you guys are too. That is why we are here. So I want to share with you guys 3 of the most influential books and the key lessons that changed my life. Take a picture of this, you guys, and please buy these books. The 80-20% principle says, and this is backed by studies, decades of studies, it says that an astonishing 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Again, 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Think about your accounts, where your referrals are coming from. A lot of it comes from very few accounts, right? And so you double down on those accounts. The problem is that most entrepreneurs are focused on the 80% that does not move the needle, the minutia, the busy work. There's a difference between being busy and productive, right? So delegation allows you to focus on the high impact 20% that drives growth. At the start of your company, I know there's a lot of startup companies in this room. Do you guys know what your 20% is? It's cash flow. Because if you don't have cash flow, your company will eventually fizzle out. So keep that in mind. That is my 20%. Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I read this book several times over the years. It says that you don't just hire people to get things off of your plate. You hire to buy back your time. Our time is our most valuable asset, you guys. So what are we doing to make sure we're protecting it? As an owner, we're now owners in here. Your job is to no longer just do things, but to hire smart doers, okay? You don't have an assistant, guess what? You're the assistant. E-Myth Revisited. He says that most small business owners get stuck working in their business instead of on their business. To grow, you need systems. You need processes that allow your business to run with or without you. You don't need to be involved in every single detail, right? Delegation isn't just helpful, it's essential to building a business that doesn't rely on you 24/7. Your goal is to build a business that runs better without you. So the bottom line, delegation isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. By embracing these principles, you'll learn not only to scale your business, but reclaim your time, reduce burnout for you and your team, and create a company that thrives with or without you. So did you know that the top millionaires and billionaires, they have this forever student mindset? Their houses are filled with books, and you don't catch them doom scrolling on Instagram for hours on end. You know why? Because it only takes one good idea to change everything. And I want to share with you guys one of those ideas that changed my life. It's called the buyback loop of audit, transfer, fill. This idea has allowed me to level up again and again and again. So when I started my business back in 2022, I had this, and honestly for a lot of my life, I had this GSD mentality, get shit done, right? Taking on everything myself. Does this sound familiar? Maybe it's you, or maybe it's someone else on your team. But let me tell you guys why that mindset has to shift. Once I proved that my idea that virtual assistants for home care was a huge hit, like you guys, once you start getting your business off the ground, you got buried in emails, back-to-back meetings. I got stuck behind the phone and behind my computer. My company stalled because I was too busy on doing everything instead of building teams and systems. I realized that I wasn't running my business was running me. The lack of streamlined processes made me the bottleneck of my own company. Are you guys the bottleneck of your own company? I was stuck in this hard work mode and I just couldn't scale, but this is how I turned it around. So I implemented the buyback loop. I started auditing my time to identify which tasks I can delegate, and then I hired key roles to take ownership of these tasks. And what this did is I effectively replaced myself every 3 to 6 months. I went from not being able to take a day off in 16 months to now I take a month off in August and in December. So, for example, I brought on an operations manager. She was a game changer. She taught my virtual assistants how to build standard operating procedures for every single one of our clients. She created ways to create and transparency, like sending end-of-day reports to every one of our clients every day. This transformed our client experience from turning us into a simple VA that checks things off your list to a long-term strategy partner. As my business grew, I continued the loop, right? I hired a success manager to handle onboarding. I didn't like onboarding. I didn't like doing it, and it took up 2 weeks of my time. I don't got that time. I don't have that kind of time anymore. I hired a recruiter to hire better and faster. I hired an HR manager who built these amazing training programs that were role specific. You want a recruiter, a scheduler, an on-call, someone to do billing and invoicing for you guys? Guess what? We have a training program for those roles. But this is key, you guys. Every time I hired someone, it freed up my time and it allowed me to focus on my strategic growth. Again, my 20%. It allows me to do things like this, build power partnerships, and getting my company, Ascension Business Solutions, to be one of the most recognized brands for virtual assistants in America. Every time I transferred a task to someone who could do it better, faster, and with more passion, it gave me time to fill my time up with higher level activities that drove revenue and filled me back up with joy. Today, I'm laser focused on strategic growth. I want to become the best virtual assistant agency in America, hands down. I want my team can execute ruthlessly, allowing me to expand into Canada, the UK, Australia, something only I can do. You guys want to start your 5th group home? That's something only you guys can do. You have a home care, now you want to add transportation? That's only something that you guys can do as owners. So the buyback loop isn't just a strategy, it's a mindset that ensures you're always working on the right thing. So put your GSD, your get shit done mentality, but make sure it's on high level activities, right? So now you might be wondering, what's in it for me, Regina? How does this apply to me? I want you guys to think about this. What is your 20%? Let's uncover what tasks are holding you back from your 20%. How much of your time is spent out putting out fires every day, managing the day-to-day tasks? And if you're doing that, then how much time are you dedicated to strategic growth? As owners, you guys, we need to do what's required, not what's desired. So let's go through this buyback loop together. So success starts with intentionality, right? Do you guys talk about intentionality? If not, you should be. So you need to audit, transfer, and fill. So, sorry, I kind of missed something right here. So we need to calculate your hourly value. Then we need to audit your time, hire internally or outsource to me, empower your team, and identify what we call the whirlwind. Identify and avoid the whirlwind. So how do you calculate your hourly value? This is so important. Why? Because your time is the most valuable resource that you guys have. So we need to determine how much it's actually worth. And here's how. When I left my corporate job, I was getting paid over $200,000. So I knew my income goal had to be $200,000. And so you take your income goal, how much you want to make, or if not how much you are already making, you divide that by the hours in a week and the month or weeks in the year. So 200,000 divided by 40 divided by 50. That's how you get your hourly value. My hourly value is $100 an hour. Let's say you pay your operations manager $100,000 a year. Guess what? Her hourly value is then $50 an hour, right? Now ask yourself, are you spending your time on high value tasks that are worth $50? Or are you engaging in these low level tasks that can be easily delegated for $15 an hour? Is your top paid employees focusing on high impact work? Or are they stuck on tasks that could be outsourced for much less? Here's a practical example. I hate cleaning. I don't like scrubbing toilets. I don't like doing my laundry, but I won't fold it, right? And this has been, guess what I did? I outsourced it. I hired a team of cleaners. This company sends 2 girls to my house every month. They clean my house for about 4 hours. My hourly value is $100 versus their hourly value of $26. That's a no-brainer, right? Very easy to compare. And guess what? I get that 8 hours back to do things that I actually like doing, like gotta pretend I like pickleball with my husband. I gotta have boozy brunch with my girlfriends and go boozy shopping. Those are the things that I love to do because I delegated that. So very practical example. Then, this is another thing that you guys can do. You gotta audit your time, right? Use this, and I can give you guys a workbook that has all of this information in it. Take out your phones. You guys have to commit to this activity. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, next week. Name it, audit your time. And commit to this, be disciplined with this, and write down every single thing that you're doing. Or your managers. Have them write down everything that they're doing every day for 3 to 5 days. Let's see if it's a high value task or low value task. And then you kind of reference that with your hourly value. That's how you can easily identify which things can be delegated and now. Then, once you've identified that, transfer it. It's time to transfer it. You can, reclaiming your time means empowering others to handle the other 80%, so that way you can focus on the 20% that truly drives growth. Start with tasks that you don't really enjoy first, and things that you're not really good at, right? Who in here is still doing payroll and invoicing? Something that you hate doing. I did payroll. I think that's when I started drinking. Who here is the owner, but you're still doing recruiting? Guess what? If you're still doing recruiting, you're not out there marketing. So delegate those things. You can hire internally. These are roles that are ideal for close collaboration, people that know the industry super well. Like your business development girlies, right? Your operations manager, your administrator. These are roles you cannot outsource. And if you want, I'd love for you guys to consider outsourcing. Why does Maddie talk about VAs and virtual assistants? so much? Why is this such a growing trend in healthcare? Because you can sidestep really expensive salaries, right? You don't have to pay taxes when you hire a virtual assistant. You don't have to give a virtual assistant benefits, because I give them benefits. You don't have to hire them, train them, manage them. You don't have to give them a laptop, a cell phone. I do that. So just look at the cost savings of almost 60% cost savings. And what did we talk about? Cash flow is important, right? So this is just another alternative. And another thing that I've been noticing is you can mitigate employee-related lawsuits when you hire virtual assistants. So once you hire your team, how do you empower them? How can you trust? You built this baby, your home care agency, your transportation agency. How do you trust that baby to someone else? We say you gotta trust but verify. You got to let go, and you empower your team to solve problems and hold them accountable. So this 1-3-1 method changed my life, you guys. So, and I'm gonna teach it to you guys. Basically, you have to say, what is the one problem? So when a team member approaches you, you have to make sure that they're actually clearly articulating what the problem is. Because a problem properly identified, is a problem half solved. Then ask them for their 3 solutions. This forces them to do research. This forces them to be resourceful and have critical thinking. Then ask them for the number 1 recommendation based off of their research. And if they do this more often than not, they will come up with the solution and not you, right? So for example, I have a virtual recruiter and she says, Regina, my client has a recruiting problem. And I said, well, that's super vague. Did you do your 1-3-1? And she said, no. I said, okay, wait around, come back tomorrow, let's talk about it. And I'm excited to hear what your number 1 solution is, right? We're empowering them to figure it out. And so she comes back and she goes, so the problem is that I can see is I've identified that my client has a bottleneck in her recruiting process. Her application is 47 pages long. I was like, no wonder why caregivers aren't applying. I would not apply for that job. And so she gave me her top 3 solutions. And I said, what's your number 1 recommendation? She said, we gotta break it down into bite-sized pieces. And guess what? Applicants started flowing. So if there's anything you guys take away, besides the art of delegation, is this 1-3-1. If your employees want to throw you a problem, throw it back, but guide them on how to fix the problem. Then, once they have come up with a solution, have them build an SOP, standard operating procedures. This is so important, especially if you're a new company. Get your SOPs documented. And these SOPs don't have to be like these weird, full of jargon. No, it should look like a children's book, to be honest. Lots of pictures, circle this, highlight this, here's an arrow. Keep it simple and easy to follow. It should look more like a map on how to get from point A to point B. Then have them demonstrate to you guys that they understand it. Using those SOPs, have them get up here like me, have them walk you through recruiting from start A to B, how to do invoicing from A to B, how to bill Medicaid and do this and that from A to B. Trust but verify. This is how you build a team. Okay, so this is a thing. It's called identify and avoid the whirlwind. What is the whirlwind? It's an endless cycle of low-value tasks that are pulling you away from strategic growth. It happens when you get dragged into urgent but low-value tasks, and sometimes it's that we volunteer for the whirlwind. We go, oh, I'll just do that because it's easier if I just do it. It'll be faster if I just do it, and then boom, 2 hours goes by. Again, your time is so valuable. What does this look like? Getting dragged into countless meetings. I got dragged into a meeting about font and what's going to be in our newsletter. I walked out. No, ma'am, that's not what I'm going to do. Screening caregivers because you got an open shift you need to fill. Filling a shift. No, you got to trust in the team that you've built. Okay? Practice discipline. The whirlwind pass you by. Learn to lean on the team that you've created and stay committed to activities that align with your hourly value and high value tasks. So what does high value look like? How many of you guys have all these projects that have been on your back burner for forever? What is it, like your website? You haven't gone to this social worker that you've been meaning to get to? You're not even marketing that much. Your email newsletter does not look good. What about all these strategies that Maddie keeps talking about, your business coaches keep talking about? When are you going to implement that? Actively building power partnerships with referral sources. Attending industry conferences like this and staying ahead of trends, meeting people like me, expanding your services. Let's get another group home. How about for home care having dementia specialization, post-acute rehab specialization, building a brand, we heard that from Maddie, and a culture that actually attracts and retains the best people and the best clients. And this is the one I love the most, investing in yourself by mastering a new leadership skill. If you guys met me 3 years ago and go, Regina, you're going to be doing a keynote speaker in front of 400 people, I would probably throw up right then and there. But I knew I had to master this skill if I was going to share my message with everyone. So true leadership is not about doing it all alone. By mastering the art of delegation, you can empower others, trust their abilities, and focus on what truly matters and that needs your unique attention and skills. This is how you create a force far greater than yourself. Success comes from working harder, from working smarter, not harder, right? By building a team where every member thrives in their purpose. The greatest leaders are those who lift others up, multiplying their own impact through shared vision. So I want to encourage you guys to delegate boldly, lead wisely, and watch your goals become a reality. Thank you.